Is that it? Is item, is weapon, yep. So if it's any one of those, mm, let's console out the item that we are being passed in. If this is the data item, then that's quite handy. That means we maybe don't need to use the meta here. We can just use the meta at the start to initialize the variable and then change the variable and then check the variable. That might be a nicer way of doing this. So this didn't run once. 'Maybe we haven't set whether it's an item at this point. Set object. Oh, it's using this. So maybe I need to do this too. Hmm, nothing again. "29 undefined and then a whole load more undefines." What is this? Maybe this isn't what we're looking for then. It might actually be the data manager. Let's see, onload. What does this give us back? Okay. Extract array metadata, probably closer to what we're looking for. This here. So here is the array. Right, looking better. Animation. Maybe stats effect or something. we catch this, we can say run all of the stuff just as you want, run all of that, and then we'll do our own stuff. Um, let's see if this works. Includes of null. So that is an item. Yep. Let's see if we can get lucky and find one that we're actually using. Super potion. There. Wire identify. So here we have found successfully the items. So what does this mean? Is item identify 110. So do we need to check if it's if data? That's maybe an important part. If data, so if not data, continue. Otherwise, let's get all of the weapons, armor, and items. So data, um, let's make our own object here, saving some data. Um, is it something like? I'm setting this up because we need some way of saving whether or not an item has been identified or not. And I don't want to get into saving data. Um, that sounds really bad, but there's a difference here between a data object and a game object. Game objects are fine. You can add code to them and it will save most of the time just automatically because it's part of the object. But because yeah, if you add something to Battler base, it will save just fine. If you add something to data, then it's just not so good. You want to be loading the data at the start of the game rather than, well, loading it from a file rather than loading it from save data. So here we will say identify data. This certainly feels like I'm doing too much for it, but I think it's probably the best way to do it. Something like item ID, something like that. Okay, let's console log data once we're in here. That's fine, we don't need this anyway. ID. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, this is going to need to be a little bit bigger. So if data manager dot is item, we're going to grab a variable, say data class equals nothing for now. Then we will set data class equal to item if it's an item. If it's armor, then we will do the same thing. So let's just create identifier, and then we need identify data dot data equaling that. So we'll add functions and things to this, and we will add data to this thing. Um, add yeah, lowercase for the item. Dot get data. So const identifier. This is going to get cross wires here. So item identifier is equal to create item identifier, pass in the item, and then we will return data item identifier. Um, object dot keys includes so if there's no item identifier in this array, then we will add one. It's also not an array, it's an object, my bad. There should be some kind of default, I guess. Um, Items require identification by default. Should an item require identification by default? I will say true, but that will be getting changed. I don't like that as being true. Items require identification by default. We'll copy that and paste it in here. And then yeah, in here we will just say, so if we don't require it by default, it will be false, meaning we'll initialize this as false. So add data. I'll say update data, and we can get data of the item. And we might be able to just do identified data equals requires identification. Now this is very untested right now. So we'll update data, add the item, and then set the default. So this should set them all to true by default. So that means no item should be visible, but I need to update the code to use this rather than just the metadata. Identify 149. Includes of null.